saying. But hello, hi. My name is Cassandra Martinez, and welcome to Basic Binges, part of Nom Talk Network. How are y'all doing today? Thank you so much for being here. On this show, we review popular shows that are out now while eating and drinking our favorite binge-worthy snacks and drinks. I've got my massive water here. It's wonderful. So if you haven't gotten some water, now's the time to grab some. Again, I'm your host, Cassandra Martinez, and right now I'm enjoying this lovely bit of water. I just stuffed my face before we started this, so I'm not going to be eating anything, but we do have some people here with us that are going to be eating. Hi, y'all. I'm going to introduce our guest for the day. Let's start off with Johnny. Here's Johnny.
Hi, everybody. I'm Johnny. I'm wherever I'm at. I'm either Pisano guy or Pisano pictures, whether it be Instagram. And right now I'm doing a web series called Mythic. It's basically it's a multi-level thing. Check it out for yourself.
And then we are also joined by Erric.
Hi. Hi, I'm Erric. On socials, you can find me as Heartless7, but typically just acting, singing, men's gay choir and all of that, just around doing my thing.
Nice. Now, are y'all munching on anything, drinking anything? Do you have any props to show us that have anything to do with food?
Well, I'll start off. I've got a sort of like half bevy thing going on here. Well, bevy, I'm now done with my water, which is dangerous, I guess. I had a Mai Tai that's at the end here, and like a real Filipino and like a real Chinese person. I have some orange chicken for dinner, and I was just shoving it in my face while we're starting. But yesterday, me and the fiance, we went to Domino's because they had deal, but they have this retro pizza situation, which is pretty cool. And what's really dope about this cross promotion for Stranger Things, they've got 80s ads on here with the Noid. Anybody who's as old as me remembers the Noid?
Wait, can you explain that?
The Noid, okay. So, once upon a time, children, there was this ad campaign where he was basically the Trix Rabbit, but for Domino's. And but when I was a kid, he was terrifying because he was claymation, and just look him up, man. It was nightmare fuel for this 3-year-old. And we got a Hawkins National Laboratory ad on the side, and I don't know if they had QR codes back then, but
I love QR codes. I like that. I like how most of it feels very Stranger Thingsy and 80s. I love that. I love the ads, and I love that there's something that's very specific, the Noid. And now we got to learn something if you weren't familiar with that. I have Twitch open on my laptop here. So, hey everyone, how are y'all doing? Hi Freakish Films, hi Crystal, hi Cue Ball, and hi Nom Talk Network. I'm a big fan. Hi. Okay, so of course, as we geek out, feel free to share your thoughts, questions, opinions, concerns, everything in the chat so we can continue the conversation going. We are going to be talking about episodes 1 and 2. We're not going to be talking about anything else just yet. So make sure you come back if you want to continue chatting about the show. And of course, as we go into the final 2 episodes, which I'm just like, why isn't it here already? The fact that we have to wait. Why? We've done so much waiting.
That killed me. I was just like, what? I waited so long for this, and then you're going to push it out a month. Okay. But just give it to me now.
When my fiance and I went on our first date, we had just finished, I think it was season 3. We went to Hot Topic and we got like all the merch because Netflix is smart. And so there was a whole bunch of merch at Hot Topic, and we had gotten our Stranger Things shirts, and it's been 3 years. We're now engaged, and it's been that long between seasons.
Yeah.
See that like, wow, this ties in perfectly with how we're going to start. But I also want to show off this. I know it's a squatting, but it's squatting things. Get it? It's like Stranger Things, but like squatting things. Get it? Yes. So it has been an eternity since we last visited Hawkins, and I want to get y'all's opinions about having to wait so long, and also seeing, these lovely faces that we love so much again after such a long time away. Eric, we'll start with you.
It was actually kind of surreal because I realized it's been so long. I had to do a binge of all of the other 3 seasons because I didn't remember what happened in the last season.
Goodness.
And so, like, seeing these kids now grown up, half of them in their late teens, early 20s, and it was just surreal seeing them throughout time. It was crazy to me.
Mm-hmm. Johnny, what are your thoughts? And also, because there was so much time in between, we have seen them in other projects as well. What was that like for you?
Well, some of them have become stars.
What's that second?
Some of them have become stars in that little bit of time that we haven't seen them, have blown up massively.
Whenever we do these fan things and whenever I talk to fans, because nerd culture is so much more broad today, one of the biggest things is that I look at movies, I look at films in the idea that they're so hard to make, to especially dealing with child actors and, franchises that like span time. It's very difficult. So I think of what the creators are going through. I think about the actors, how they want to branch out in their careers and all that kind of thing. But there was something familiar about seeing everybody, but then there's also the idea and the concept of the Uma Thurman's kid who plays Robin. She is Maya Hawke. Yeah. Oh, she also happens to be, the daughter of the villain, the daughter of the villain from Moon Knight. So, all this other stuff. So, but she is phenomenal, and I'm terrible with names, but the kid, he was in Free Guy. He also did like a creepy Uber movie. Kiri?
We'll get there.
Kiri?
Joe?
Is it Joe Kiri? Yeah. So like
Steve Harrington. Mm-hmm.
Steve Harrington, yeah, like they have all branched out. They've done their things, but the girl who plays Max and the
Sadie Sink,
exactly.
rock star. Oh my god,
she's
big Taylor
phenomenal.
Swift fan as well. She was in was it All Too Well?
I think
that
she's
10-minute long.
Fear Street as well.
Yeah, Fear Street.
Yeah,
Fear Street. Yeah, you're right. So many things, and it's been interesting to see them grow outside of these characters and also come back for a pretty serious, intense kickoff to this season. So let's get into it. But before we do, Cue Ball wants to give a little shout out to the soundtrack. Saying, I hope the soundtrack for season 4, they continue to play more good 80s metal bangers. Because, oh my gosh, and we'll definitely get into some Kate Bush when we get to that episode. Obviously, everyone's been talking about that. TikTok has been playing that nonstop as a sound, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yay. And congrats to Kate Bush for also having that song pop back up. So let's kick it off by talking about episode 1. Oh my goodness. So we started off, and it's basically picking up with everyone. So I want to start with Max. Can we start with Max? Let's start with Max. This is after she's lost her brother. They obviously weren't very close, but it was a very traumatic event that we saw at the end of last season. My goodness, she's going through it. And her relationship with Lucas is not the same as it was. And not just Lucas, everyone else around her. Did it surprise y'all, like how intensely, Max was like going through everything and she was so isolated in a way? Or was it kind of like, yeah, I was kind of expecting this because it's Stranger Things and you never know what to expect. So I was expecting this. Eric, you have something to say?
I was very shocked that the group themselves didn't check in on her more. Having been through what they've been through, I figured since she was a core member now, that they were going to check on her, make sure she's doing it right. Because obviously just looking at her, she's not okay. the counselor keeps telling her, hey, come see me, come see me, come see me. And none of these people bothered to do it. They just went on with their own lives, the basketball team, the D&D group and everything like that. And they just left her on her lonesome when her brother just died the previous season. That I felt was very messed up and just drew me closer to Max.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Johnny, what do you want to add?
I could totally see that as fans, as we get attached to these characters. But I would have to play devil's advocate and say that their choice to depict friends growing up and apart is very good. Because in high school, you start, maybe you came from the same school in freshman year, and everybody kind of gets into those D&D cliques or the basketball cliques or whatever. And that's a very accurate, at least my memory, because high school for me was way long ago, the turn of the century. But yeah, I mean, I think they did a really good job of that. And I think they're really doing a good job of depicting depression well, especially childhood trauma. Now, teenagers and child traumas are very different kind of traumas because you're almost going to be an adult, all that kind of stuff. I'm not a psychologist, but I'm just saying that they did, as far as writing in complex characters, they did a really good job.
Oh, yeah.
And let's continue talking about everyone that we were already familiar with, and then we'll jump into everyone that we've met for the first time in this first episode of the season. So next, let's go. I mean, we got to go to Will. And wait, give me a sec. Yes, Will and 11/L/Jane/ oh my God, she has so many names. Yeah, so she's no longer like attached at the hip, because she can't be, to Mike. She is physically away from Mike, and we're seeing her. I mean, the way that the episode kicks off is like she's like talking about everything that she's doing, and she's trying to depict her life in a different light. And then we do end up seeing them eventually, meeting up once Mike flies to them. There's so many characters, and I'm like, right, that's that one thing happens later, and then we have something else that happens. So let's just talk about them three. Let's talk about Mike, Will, and L/Jane/11. How do you feel about that interesting friendship and relationship between the three of them now, as they've gotten older? Who wants to jump in first? No, you go first. No, you go first.
It's like when you're on the phone with your partner, and you just kind of like, no, you hang up. No, you hang up.
No, you go. Well, I started the last one, so you can start this one.
Okay, so Mike, Will, and 11. So the concept of, first of all, they did Will dirty with that haircut. Straight up, the 80s has various things happening, various styles. I mean, they did the music very well. Again,
he asked the directors to change that haircut, and they said no.
He did?
Yeah, he literally asked them. He was like, can you change his hair? And they should have were like, no, that's his style. That's what we're keeping. So they did play him really dirty.
That poor actor. God.
Yeah.
Mortifying.
Like,
darn. At least he asked.
I mean,
yeah.
he probably, because he asked, they're like, oh, you know what? We're just going to fucking power play him, But, I mean, I don't know the duffers, but, But yeah, no, they did him dirty with the hair. I like the idea that he's working on a painting. He's doing like kind of his own thing. And like maybe queer undertones, I don't know. But then also the main thing that I take away from, like, Mike is still Mike, he still has a family. He still has like his sister giving him a hard time getting to work or getting to school and all that kind of stuff. It's been so long since I've been in high school. I'm like, he's got to go to work. But the one thing that strikes me was the Nike box, or not the Nike, the Reebok box for her diorama. And, what really struck me in this episode was her overselling how good things are, to Mike. Something will happen later with their relationship. But at the same time, like, it's so just like, oh, things are great. And like things ain't great, man. Like, just be honest.
Mhm. Now, wait, before we continue talking about that, because I do want to get to everyone else, I do want to ask this question to y'all and to everyone in the chat. So please get your answers ready. So when we first really get a good look at Mike, he's getting ready to leave, right? Nancy's like, hurry up, 30 seconds, ah! And then he grabs Pop-Tarts, because we talk about food, of course. We got to talk about food on Nom Talk Network. So he grabs 2 Pop-Tarts, couldn't get a look at the flavor of the Pop-Tarts, but it made me think, number one, how great, because the timing was just like so fast, and you just pop those Pop-Tarts into the toaster and then take them out, and then he's gone. But I want to know from y'all, what did you eat for breakfast? If you had breakfast, or what was your first meal of the day when you were in high school? I can kick it off really quickly. Everyone get those answers going in the chat, and y'all think about it. Mine is an interesting answer because I had all kinds of things. It was like leftover food. It was like whatever. Like, I honestly don't know if I ever had eggs for breakfast in high school because it was like whatever. One time, fun story, I had a hot dog for breakfast and my jaw unlocked because I don't know. It was terrifying. My mom had to punch it back in, and that was a lovely start to my day. I went to school a little later that day because I was like still trying to like recover from that, experience. But I guess the moral of the story is don't have hot dogs for breakfast and have Pop-Tarts instead. I don't know. What about y'all? What have y'all eaten, or what did you used to eat during high school, like for breakfast? Eric, we'll start with you.
Typically, see, I was the student that woke up constantly late for school. So I would grab a coffee and probably a granola bar or a Pop-Tart, typically Pop-Tarts.
Okay,
and then rush in. Strawberry. Strawberry is my favorite.
Strawberry Pop-Tarts. We got strawberry Pop-Tarts.
The little like white glaze on it. Mm-hmm. That was my go-to. Coffee and Pop-Tarts or a granola bar.
Nice. Johnny?
I still don't drink coffee. And to be a high schooler, like swinging by a Starbucks, I'm like, wow, man. Ooh, there's a Starbucks right next to the high school that I went to high school at. And I'm like, are the kids just pumping coffee into their veins? What's happening? But no, for me, there's a quote, or there's a lyric from a Danny Brown song called "Grown Up," and he has a very distinct rapping style. But one of the lyrics that really I really connected with was "Remember when our first meal was school lunch." And that was I skipped breakfast, and I probably slept in the first 2 periods, and and then I just had whatever they had at the cafeteria midday. So.
And we'll get into the conversation about cafeteria food because we got introduced to a lovely character during that time. You'll see what I mean. But everyone in the chat, okay, so Crystal is saying I had cold pizza, huh? For breakfast, okay. Cereal, Pop-Tarts, Diet Coke. She loves cherry and s'more flavored. S'more flavored Pop-Tarts? That sounds delicious. Freakish Film says, my mom used to make me a ham, egg, and cheese sandwich, and it was the best thing I've ever tasted.
Wow, lucky. That's lucky.
I love that. Producer Stephanie from Nom Talk Network says, she had juice and celery. Juice and celery?
That's
was
so
producer
healthy.
Steph a rabbit in a previous life? Wow. Wait, just
Healthy
like
breakfast.
nothing else? Like juice and celery. What kind of juice? And celery with like anything? I mean, that's interesting. I love that. Cue Ball says my breakfast was cereal, like the cheap versions of like Cocoa Puffs or Frosted Flakes or apple and cinnamon oatmeal or maple and brown sugar oatmeal. Oatmeal. I didn't get into oatmeal until later.
Off-brand cereal, that's the jam.
It's the best.
Off-brand. You get the same
cereal.
marshmallows.
No, I always go for those Dino Bites though. Those Dino Bites kick.
Oh, look. You can give me a regular shaped nugget, but the moment, like, I'll be happy about it. But if you make it in the shape of a dinosaur, oh my God, all of a sudden it just tastes so much better. I just love like fun shaped foods like that. Oh, okay. It was a carrot, apple, and celery juice. Dang. I love that.
You were really healthy.
Heck yeah.
I wish.
Look,
I
maybe
think the
I'll
thing.
try
I
that
think my
tomorrow.
family. I think I was a lot like Mike. I was a very tall kid right away, so they're like, he's grown. Like you know, you don't need to feed him like super well. He's already done his growing.
It's funny because people used to tell I stopped growing like in between 8th and 9th grade. People were like, you can't drink coffee, it'll stunt your growth. And I was like, no, I'm pretty much done growing, y'all. Like it's cool. It's fine.
If you need something
I didn't even
off
care
the
if it's
shelf,
I didn't care if it stunted my growth. Coffee is life. Like I need coffee.
Coffee is life. We've got a coffee is life over here. Can anyone agree? Does anyone feel the same way? Okay, so let's hop on over to Steve and Robin. Steve and Robin, and then also let's talk about Nancy and her. Yeah, I mean, I guess she's like kind of by herself. Like we're used to seeing her with Steve or with Jonathan. So let's talk about them three separately, but like together. Johnny, we'll start with you.
did you start off with me because you said Steve and Robin? I was like, yes. But yeah, no. So like again, I'm a big Hawk fan. She's phenomenal. I'm a big Kiri fan, and I love seeing their dynamic. I personally would love a string of like Marvel one-shot type deals where it's just like them going to work or them working it. Because I really
At the video store? Come on.
Yeah. That's if there was just like a video store, because this is my big thing with Stranger Things just in general, is that like 11 and Mike, they're all the main kids are starting to not even just celebrity wise, they're starting to kind of come into their own. Their stories have kind of been told, but I want to know more about Robin and just like their dynamic is great. Their dynamic is so like to have a queer straight friendship is just, it really means a lot to this is hetero dude, to depict that and our friendships like that. So I mean, they're great.
No, their friendship is fantastic. The way it's developed, and just you see those little moments of, yeah, hit on the girl. You know she's gay. I know she's gay. Hit on her. Do it. And like that friendly back and forth of it. Chef's kiss for that.
And I think that what's great about watching this, say, with your either straight parents or this or that, is that one line where she says, you ask a girl out and it's whatever. I asked the wrong girl out and I'm a town pariah. And I, a lot of my queer friendships, a lot of stuff that I grew up with it was a lot scarier then than it is now. Not to be like, you kids have it easy, but like, nobody is, there's no one has it easy, but.
Oh yeah. I mean, I didn't go to high school in the 80s, but still, even when I went to high school in the late mid 2000s, it was a still scary thing. So I know exactly what she was feeling. Nowadays, it's still scary, but they have Stranger Things to be like, oh, look, I'm not alone. I can do this.
Yeah. I mean, that's another big thing too, to have queer stories on mainstream, like household name shows, you know. So it starts to bridge, and when it comes to it, it's not a light switch. It's not going to be great tomorrow, and the show does not solve everything. But it's happening. It's going. We're in a world where one thing at a time.
I do love how they show Robin's like struggle with it. Of like, I'm going to tell her. I'm not going to tell her. Wait, I said this. No, I didn't say that. Sorry. I love that because that's gay life as a teenager. Like, you don't know, you're figuring it out, and as she is too. So it's great storytelling on that part.
I mean, y'all bring up such great points. I love that we're getting to have these conversations and that we're getting to see these characters grow and see these different kinds of situations. And I'm excited to see what happens. Scared also what happens. The last 2 episodes of the season. Let's hop on over to let's talk about Nancy a little bit. And then we'll talk about Jonathan separately, and then we'll talk about Joyce separately because of Hopper. So let's talk about Nancy. I mean, Nancy is like doing her own thing. Are y'all a fan of what we've seen so far of Nancy? Now let's go ahead and talk a little bit about her also in episode 2, without going too far into the new character, because then we'll do a fun little thing with the new characters. Eric, thoughts on Nancy?
Nancy is, I feel, doing what she always wanted to do, be a powerhouse and go and report and figure out life. So I actually love where her character has gone. Yes, she seems by her lonesome. But who is it? Katie Couric or one of those fairy ones? That's what I see from her. She's this power-driven woman who is not going to let anybody get in her way. For instance, like in episode 2 when they go to the trailer park. But it is kind of sad to see that her boyfriend's not there and she doesn't have Steve by her all the time and everything like that. Because she did not really depend on them, but they were kind of like her sidekicks in her powerhouse movements of what she wanted to do. But I'm proud of her. I love where the character has gone. I can't wait to see the last 2 episodes to see where it's gone or where she goes.
Thoughts, Johnny?
I'll try to keep it short, and it's basically this. It's good that she's, a career woman in the 80s. It's really great to see, especially for young girls to see today. But the one thing that really strikes me with Nancy that I'm really just waiting on is, and I know that he's got a girlfriend now, but I'm wanting to see some from the snowball dance, like him or Dusty and her, just to see how they're doing, like his crush on her, what happens with that, like, Nancy's doing her thing. I mean, I'm really happy to see that, you have really headstrong, career-driven kids, in this, but I really want to see what happens if, like, she's there and then Dusty's girlfriend's there. Like, what? Awkward,
Let's go ahead and jump into the new characters. So the new ones that we got so far, I'm thinking that that's it for the season. We've got Fred. Where did you go, Fred? Fred is Nancy's, what would you say, like co-worker? Was. Spoiler first. Here we go. We're going into spoiler mode, y'all. Spoilers. We're talking about episodes 1 and 2. So yeah, Fred, we got that going for Fred. Then we also, of course, had Chrissy. Chrissy was our first death of the season, correct?
I swear, no offense to the actress, but I thought I was looking at Hilary Duff.
Thank you. Yes.
They time tunneled Hilary Duff. There's a real upside down. They zapped her from a couple years back when she's doing that gay promo ad. And then I'm like, wait, no, is that her sister? Like, what's going on?
You're so right. I think like Casper meets Wendy a little.
Yes.
That's so cool. Do y'all agree? Do y'all think that Chrissy gives Hilary Duff vibes? We also, of course, have the, basketball team. The basketball team kind of led by Jason, the jock. We have to talk about Angela. Angela's the mean girl. Angela, my goodness. And then, of course, Argyle, if y'all watch Booksmart, you will be familiar with Argyle's face. We are fans of Argyle. We are excited to see more Argyle. Dimitri. Okay, let's get into Hopper a little bit. We do finally see where Hopper is, like near the end of episode 2, like the second chunk, because each episode's over an hour. I appreciate it. I'm down for that. But we meet Dimitri. Dimitri's the one that sent the letter to Joyce. Am I missing any new, like, big character? So far, episodes 1 and 2, because I know y'all are mentioning someone else. Robert England.
Yeah.
We will get into Robert England later. But am I missing anyone? Oh my God, Roots! Of course. We're gonna get into this one next. Okay, so I would say probably the most loved, maybe, would y'all say, of the season is Eddie. Eddie. I love Eddie so much. We're introduced to Eddie when Dustin and Will are talking about the Hellfire Club, and they go over and we get a look at what they're having for their school lunch. And I paused the screen for this So they had corn. Mike had fried chicken with like bones, like fried chicken. They had the Borden milk. They had some canned fruit. They had a dinner roll. And I think Dustin had some kind of pizza. And then around there was also Tab and Dr. Pepper and like the old school packaging, which brings me to my next point. How do y'all feel about Eddie? And what was like y'all's go-to lunch during school? I don't think I had one, at least high school. Let's talk about high school. In the chat, y'all get your answers going as well. Because I'm like, crap, there were so many sides on that plate. And then Eddie was munching on something, but I don't know what he was munching on. I'm like, oh, I just know I didn't have milk. Not a big fan of milk. What would y'all eat? We'll start with you, Eric.
Love Eddie. Love his character. Love his personality. Just how out there he is. That it was a breath of fresh air seeing that character come into play. Especially with the dynamic of high school and then us seeing them as kids, it really brought them into the high school setting for me. But what I would have for lunch would be a Coke. Do you guys remember Fruitopia?
The fruit by the like
No,
thing?
It was a drink. It was called Fruitopia. It was very sweet, very sugary. Just that's what I'd have, and then I'd have chips. That's what I'd get.
But the Fruitopia was like a bottle like this size.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'd have for lunch. So I'm surprised my teeth survived that because it was all sugar. But that's what I would eat every day.
Oh my gosh. I forgot about that. I also liked it too. You're just bringing me back. I'm like, dang, whatever happened to that drink? Are they still going strong? I don't know. If you guys know what we're talking about, let us know the condition of Fruitopia. I hope they're okay and maybe, I don't know, slightly healthier, hopefully, for people's teeth. I don't know. Johnny, what about you?
Well, straight off the bat, as far as new characters, my number one, it's got to be Argyle, man. When I found Kevin Smith films, my big thing was Jay and Silent Bob. I've always loved side characters, and one of my favorite characters from Die Hard, also named Argyle. This actor, I really hope all the best for. I hope he has a great storyline, and I hope he gets like a good hero moment. But Eddie. This actor is doing a bang up job of playing that sort of kid who lives in a trailer park. But also, this is the D&D is his whole life for a reason, for character reasons, for class, social class, what have you. And so Dimitri is also another really great character, and I really like to see where that character goes. But I hate to be the spiteful nerd, but when it comes to jocks when it comes to jocks in media, I'm just like, okay, cool, whatever. That guy's gonna be a bad guy, blonde hair, blue eye, giving a speech. Are we gonna have like a red banner come down behind him? Hint to future parts of the series. But yeah, I mean, like, my lunch was, just whatever the special for the day was then. I just like what it was the turn of the century, and we had like, I don't know, $5, and whatever that got me to get me through the day. Go home, make myself some like actual meal.
That's why I would drink Fruitopia and chips, because I did not have money.
We got $5. What does $5 get me? That was the mentality.
It got us a lot more back then than it does now. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember going from in elementary school, I had free lunch for a bit, and then my mom and I got past that point. I was like, oh crap, okay, so now like I have to pay for it. All right. But then I remember getting to middle school and high school, and I don't know about y'all, but we had different lines for different kinds of food. So like in high school, there was one that was literally called like Cafe Olé. And like, it was just like Spanish food, but not really. It was Mexican. I'm like, y'all, we don't say Olé. We don't say, like, now that I think of it, I'm like, wait a sec. but yeah, I mean, we just had a bunch of different ones, and I think that can just be overwhelming. But now I think about kids, and I don't know what it's like, like in high school now, or even colleges, like freaking, you can have a Subway in there, or I don't know. Like
Everybody just door dashes now and gets brought to school.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
God, if we had that back then.
If we had Google, I don't understand because I'm not a father yet. Like, I have no idea how parents and kids do their thing. And sometimes I'll ask like my friends who have kids, pre-COVID and stuff like that, and be like, what's the lunch situation? How does homework work? Like, and you're asking me, and like, here's the funny thing about not being prepared for this. I do not remember high school lunch. Like, it's so long ago, class of 01. Like, It's been, in the words of my generation, it's been a while. So.
Been a while. Crystal in the chat said, we had pizza and bagels. Dang, that sounds like New York.
Was it the square pizza that the school serves?
Yeah, was it the square pizza? I know the one in Stranger Things was like, it was kind of square looking, kind of square, rectangular. Now let's go into some of the more memorable moments from the first 2 episodes, and y'all are welcome to bring any up. I'm going to start off with Angela getting her butt kicked. Or not her butt, but her face slammed with the rollerblade. Yay! I don't promote violence, but Angela is a B word in the show. And she, oh my God, we got to give a shout out to Angela because she, if I can find you, Angela, where are you? She really nailed the role of a mean girl. I really did not like her. I need to find it. Hold on.
80s mean girl. 80s mean girls were not as cute as Regina George's quippy lines on the internet. Like, it was savage back then, and we didn't have the internet, and we didn't have. I mean, I was in high school in the late 90s, so things weren't exactly as they are in the 80s, but we didn't have our communities to go back to. Like, there wasn't a Reddit where I was just like, oh, I love X-Men, or oh, I love like this thing, and there are people all over the world who love that. Like, we really back then didn't have what we have now. And like, to speak on that is like when Angela, no, not Angela. Is it Angela, the cheerleader?
No, Chrissy.
Well, so when Chrissy, they have that bathroom scene, Chrissy.
Mm-hmm.
Did I overstep the episode? Is that in 1 and 2?
Chrissy like having a tough time in the stall. That's the first one.
That's first episode. So like in the 80s, I can only imagine having, a disorder, or having an eating disorder, or having an eating situation, and it'd just be terrifying. And it'd just be like, that's your trauma that you live with. Like, that's horrifying. And then to be depicted as like this demonic, scary, like shadow. It's like, that's brilliant. Like, that's them doing their job good.
Yeah. So Angela is played by Elodie Grace Orkin. So shout out to you, Elodie, because you knocked it out of the park. Okay. So Angela she basically bullies Elle/Jane. And Elle is brought to the center of the ice skating rink, the Rinkomania. And this other guy like comes in and like he throws the chocolate milkshake, which, wow, that's sticky and messy.
Like Glee? What is this, Glee?
Right?
It's so crazy. And then she falls. And then we see the scene where Elle's had enough and she just grabs. Like, what were y'all's thoughts watching that moment? Because I know for me, I was like, whoa, let's go. Erric.
Like you said, I don't promote violence, but that was my favorite part when she smacked her in the face with the skate. Because at this point, Will's not really helping her. She's lying to Mike about how great everything is, and you could just see how tortured she is, and she needed a release. So that moment was beautiful. And how Angela just like cried and played victim, I hated, but I knew she was going to do it because that's the girl she kind of is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And like how disgusting and like gnarly the cut was. Johnny, were you a fan?
When you have it's weird to think that like kids actually do this. It's sad, you know. I mean, given like the news that we have today, you know, it's what I wanted to speak on in this is the fact that one, they ruined the song Wipeout. I'm sorry. I love that song. I love the way it starts, and it's a great drum song. But to sort of put yourself in the mindset of Elle, who has had these immense powers, and then have them be gone and to feel helpless, you know, that's something to examine in, you know, sort of bullying and sort of like lashing back out and all that kind of jazz. But yeah, no, obviously don't condone violence. And, you know, it's sad what happens in the news today, but also to button this with a little bit of joy, geez, Downer Johnny, is every time I see a roller rink in any movie anywhere, I, as a San Fernando born and raised kid, I'm like, oh man, they're shooting this in the Moonlight Roller Rink.
Hey!
Moonlight Roller Rink everywhere. Like it was in NWA, it was in like a whole bunch of other stuff. And I'm like, oh man, they're just shooting there. It's like, not, Johnny, take it easy. Not every roller rink on the history of cinema is goddamn Moonlight Roller Rink, which by the way, go check them out.
Well, you have to think all the roller rinks came from like the 70s and 80s from disco and everything. So they all looked generally the same.
And to be in this day and age, to have that business continue like to operate. I mean, also post-COVID, like,
oh yeah, impressive.
Any business after COVID, but then also like, hey, you know, if it's a real well-looking of the generation like roller rink, I'm like, where do they shoot? I mean, they probably shot it like what, in Atlanta? Where's the main location?
They had 3 for this one. I know that, but what locations were that?
That's a good question. Let's go. Stranger Things. Cue Ball brings up something cool that we could dip into for a sec. Cue Ball says, I graduated from high school in 1997 and I was semi-popular, LOL, but I was both an introvert and extrovert. Quickly say, if you could like say who you were in high school, like what you did in a few sentences, who would you be? And yeah, like how would you describe yourself?
Poor kid. Just straight up poor kid. Like I was a poor kid because the thing is that there were cliques. I would hang around the Hispanic kids. I don't know, maybe because I'm Filipino, I'm quasi brown, maybe, I don't know. But like I hung out with the Asian kids. I hung out with the theater kids. I had a couple of the one of my closest friends in high school was like the captain of the football team. And so I kind of understand why these kids like have all these other like, you know, what are they called, cliques, you know, like I was all over the place. So I
mean, that's good too. I feel like my mom was kind of like that. She would tell me about like growing up and being friends with all kinds of people, and I was like, nah, Ma, sorry to break it to you, I'm an orc dork. I was in orchestra. We were called orc dorks. Okay, that's what you call yourself. And then if you were in band, you were a band geek. But I was also in the dance team. And then I was in the musical, and I just wanted to be in all things creative, and now here we are. So if we had an AV department, in my years of there, I would have 1,000% been there. I tried to get into photography. I just wasn't clicking with those kids. Like it was all about like media. I was one of the weird kids that like, and because I was a theater kid, before there was YouTube, I was a kid like documenting with a camcorder, and like it's almost as if there was a virtual yearbook in 2000 and 2001, I would have put it together. Like I was watching like Spider-Man, the Tom Holland Spider-Mans, and they have like Betty Brant and like the kid with the awkward transitions and stuff. I'm like, that would have been me. I would have been making those shorts. I'd be like, yeah, but they didn't have that when I was a kid.
No. They definitely didn't have it when I was, but I was the theater kid, but theater choir, like all of that. But oddly enough, our sports team sucked at my high school, like all of them. So the theater people and the choir people were the popular kids, which I didn't think would happen anywhere else. but we were the ones that were the popular kids because our team sucked.
We gotta go to regionals. We gotta go to regionals, guys. What does that
But
mean?
that was the thing is,
Regionals.
our choir team would go to like regionals and nationals, and the whole entire
Branson?
school would be there like cheering them on as they got on the bus.
I remember there was a thing
Beautiful.
like wasn't Branson like a thing? Like, is there some kind of like?
No, it changed every year.
Oh, okay.
They went to like Florida. I think one time they went to Idaho to do it, and I was like, "What's in
Oh, okay.
Idaho? Why are you going there?" But okay.
That just goes to show like how half like supportive I was. I was just like, oh, Branson, music, yeah. Is Branson a music city? I don't know.
In the chat, Crystal says AP honors. Oh yeah. Oh, right. School, the learning part of school. Yeah. AP honors kid, introvert, did track and journalism. That's cool. Nom Talk Network says Albuquerque for California scenes, Lithuania. Thank you for Russia scenes, and Atlanta for Hawkins scenes. Oh, that's so. Wow. That's like.
Yeah.
Cuba. Like I said, I was starting out playing drums. I loved our school's drum line. And I was writing lyrics and poetry. I was never in school band, but my brother and I had our own little band, just two of us.
Oh,
Bravo.
That is so
oh my God.
That's cool.
We have to stop at poetry. I like that. Like, let's bring it back to Stranger Things. Will's doing art on his own, like he's painting on his own. But when you said poetry, mother of mercy, I have, and my fiance has yet to see this. I'm looking right at her, and she has yet to see all the horrible poetry I wrote in high school.
No,
She's
I don't
here for it. She's doing the. I can't wait to see it. But it's the thing is I Tupac had passed away, and they released a lot of his poems that he wrote when he was 19, and it was like the letter U for you is almost like it was like written in text. It was like the letter U, number 2, and all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, yeah, man, because like I mean, Tupac meant a lot to me in high school, still does, but like I was like, I'm gonna write too, and I have like there's so many bad poems that my fiance has yet to read.
Look, I feel like there's some things that maybe we all don't want to share about, like what we did in high school, right? So that's relatable. Totally understand, but like we survived. We made it through 2 characters that did not make it through. Do you like that segue? It was pretty sad, but
Kind of back.
Chrissy and Fred. So those are the 2 deaths that we've seen. We also get a look at Vecna. Which one broke your heart more?
Chrissy
Chrissy?
way more.
Wait, Chrissy versus who?
Fred. Chrissy and Fred, the one that died.
Yeah.
Fred was just kind of annoying to me. I wanted him to go.
Like, yeah, Dilbert straight up, like whatever. Chrissy, I mean, we depict a character who, is going through a lot of like real personal trauma. And therefore you have more of a connection to her. But what's good about the storytelling is that it kind of teaches you, or it puts you in the sort of shoes as someone who cares for her, like Jason, which by the way, 80s horror slasher name, Jason, very smart.
That's what I'm loving.
But as far as like teenage trauma is concerned, and who we were in high school, we had this Asian / Filipino Italian, like trying to figure out who he was. This is what we did in the late 90s.
Is that a sweater vest?
Oh, it is.
Oh, nice.
Could it be any more sweater vest? Yes, it is a sweater vest.
Did you ever do like the blonde tip spikes?
That was my cutoff. That was my cutoff. I said bye to anyone who suggested.
I love it. I love it so much. Now we're going to wrap up talking about characters and everything. I feel like the first 2 episodes is just going to be like so full of like juicy stuff that happens. And as we continue talking about the show, it's going to be more about like big moments that we want to talk about and obviously food. But it's been nice, getting to see where everyone starts, at least for the most part, including Hopper. He's alive. We finally see him at the end of episode 2. He's been through so much that we're not afraid to get dark with it. What were y'all's quick thoughts about seeing Hopper and like his status as we push into the next several episodes? Eric?
Oh, I was just excited to know that he was alive. Like, it's been 3 years. They took too long to let us know that he was alive.
We had like that little tiny peek of like, what was it? They gave us a little tiny bit at the end of last season, but it wasn't enough. It's like the whole thing in horror movies, like no body, no dead, that kind of thing. And so it's like, we didn't see the body. So it was also like, we weren't sure if he was fully alive. Like, is he a human or like, I don't know, whatever happens in the upside down, like something could happen.
Well, I'm
John-
glad to see that he's in the actual world. I thought he might have got sucked into the upside down at the end of the last season. So
Yeah, that would be frustrating.
it'd be interesting.
I gotta say that I'm really happy to see Hopper. Just in general, I mean, David Harbour is a phenomenal actor. He was a lot of fun in the Marvel movie. He was really hilarious in the Frankenstein Netflix thing that he did. Hands down, David Harbour all the way. And it's good to see him sort of like kind of pay penance for his sort of like toxic behavior in 3. But just, you know, like I really like what they're doing with him and his storyline. And I'm glad Hopper's alive.
Heck yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that interview with him or not, but since he did the Marvel movie, Black Widow and everything like that, he was actually sending pictures back to the directors of Stranger Things because they're shooting in the same locations in Russia and everything like that. He's like, don't shoot it like this. Like, this is what we're doing right now, just so they could do something different.
That's smart.
So crazy. I love that. I love that. Okay, so I feel like that's as much as we can get into right now. If y'all want to keep the conversation going on Twitch as we finalize everything, just quick, wonderful moments that y'all really want to give a shout out to, actors, whatever moments. And then also continue the conversation on YouTube. I know this will be posted over there, so keep that going. That is all the time we have to talk about today's, well, what was it? The 2 episodes, episode 1 and 2, that together make up like, I don't know, almost 4 hours. I don't know.
These episodes are so long.
That surprised me. They're long, but you're captivated by them. You're just in it.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't even know like the time. Me and the fiance were like, we had a cold at the time. Thank goodness it wasn't COVID. But like, we were just like bundled up and just like next one. It was, you know, we were like DJ Khaled with the remote.
Another one.
Yeah.
Nice. Yes, and of course, be sure to join our Discord to keep the conversation going. Shout out to my guests, Johnny and Eric. Tell us where people can find you on socials. I know we have some shout outs and things that we want to talk about. Eric, we'll start with you and then we'll go over to Johnny.
You could find me at Heartless7 on Instagram and on TikTok. Right now, just doing a lot of shows and everything like that, auditioning and getting prepared to do a show later on this year.
Yeah.
Theater is back, so I'm excited.
Johnny.
I can't stress enough how much I love doing this web series. It's on Pisano Pictures. I syndicate the episodes on TikTok because I'm an old man getting with the times, but I'm really proud of the actors that I have on the show. When you go to Pisano Pictures anything and you see Off-Brand Marvel, that's my show. Hope you dig it. Leave comments, share it, have fun with it, enjoy it, hate it, love it. Just check it out.
Support, y'all, support. And you guys can find me on all social media at Amy Cassandra MTZ. That is an abbreviation for Martinez. Some people think it's mountains. It's Martinez. And that's everywhere. Instagram, Twitter. Okay, TikTok, I think you have to add another Z at the end because my other one was taken. Doesn't matter. And of course, Basic Binges is now in podcast form. Woohoo! So you can listen to the show on Google Podcasts, Spotify, or where you get your podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, as well as here on Twitch. You can go ahead and do that right here. If you're on the chat, you're looking at it right now, just go to the left and there's a little heart and you can do that there. And then of course, all of our other platforms at Nom Talk Network. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for being a rock star and for helping us with today's stream tonight. It is night. Oh my goodness, it's almost 9 p.m. Good night. Just kidding. Tune into our next show next Monday, same time, same place, same me, same show, different episodes. Until then, I'm your host, Amy Cassandra Martinez, and I hope you have a non-horrific day and night.